I know I haven't gone much detail into my experience as a Harley Davidson mechanic, and I know I've hinted at that in the future I'll make videos about it, so I figured I would slowly start this series, but on a more positive note. I have hinted on in the past that there were bad experiences in my first dealership, and that's truly a whole video on its own. I'm just not really ready for that topic. It's pretty heavy. I had a lot of sexual harassment. It was a lot of sexism. It was just a really bad experience that put me in a really dark place in my life. And luckily, my next dealership that I went to was a total 180. So it's not an all bad experience, but it's something that I do want to talk about one day, but just not today. So I figured today I would more talk about the positive memories, positive experiences as a Harley Davidson mechanic. Everyone kind of has their own experiences. For some, the whole road is boring. For some, they love it the whole entire time. For some, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. So yeah, I definitely have some really good memories and moments that I want to talk about that I really liked. One of the best things I would say was I was almost a little sister to the guys in the shop. Even if the guys were younger than me, there were times I had an apprentice younger than me. There was some other apprentices in the shop who were younger than me, but I still felt like I was just the little sister of the shop, and it was a lot of respect, and I felt like they had my back. And I'm more going to talk about the second dealership. While there were good experiences in the first, like my Master Tech, I feel like that's a whole video for another day. And when I talk about that they treated me like a little sister, it's more of just that respect that they had towards me. They understood that even though I was in a man-dominated field, in the man's world, they still treated me as a female. It's kind of hard to pinpoint certain memories or pinpoint certain dots of exactly how they treated me like a woman, but they truly did make me feel like a woman. I just had this whole complex for a long time that, I worked with men, I worked in a male-dominated field, but I didn't want to lose my femininity, and that was really important to me. I know maybe for guys it's kind of hard to explain, but I guess the way I could compare it to is if you have a significant other and she, if you're in a straight relationship, if she makes you feel like a man, and I don't know, it's just kind of hard to explain exactly how that is, but men and women are definitely different, and so it's nice that they respected my differences as a human. Another thing that was really great about the shop I worked at was if they needed help, they weren't scared to go to me. There was definitely quite a few customers that did not want a female working on their bike. They were very adamant before they even got a chance to talk to me. There was one moment where a customer came in and I just happened to be at the front desk. So I offered to help see what his issue was. And he walked right by me and wanted to, my manager was there. So he started talking to my manager. My manager didn't know the answer, so he asked me. And so I would relay what the answer was of what could be the issue. And instead of the customer talking to me, knowing that I had some answers, he would reply to the manager. And so the way they joked about it once we got in the back of the shop was my manager was the male to female translator. So, it was very aggravating to have those moments. It definitely but it is what it is. I know the world that I entered, so I couldn't let it eat me too much. But I will say the guys in the shop, if they needed help and there was something I knew that they didn't, they were definitely not scared. They didn't have that to them where they didn't want a woman to help them, So it's definitely a really nice feeling that they trusted my expertise, they trusted my knowledge. And same goes for, for the higher techs when I needed help with something I didn't know or a diagnosis I was doing for the first time and something I didn't understand in the manual. They were very mindful and, taught me through the process, walked me through it. They were very patient with me. It's just nice. And that's kind of the ideal shop. It doesn't, not just because I'm a woman. They were like that to the other guys too, most of the time. But I do know I definitely got more patience than probably the other guys did, especially when I was first starting out. While I may have had it harder in being accepted by customers, it was definitely nice to have that counterbalance of having just a little bit more patience towards me. I know some guys might not like that, but they might seem it's unfair. But in every way, life is not fair. So like, yes, I may have had a little bit more patience from the master techs, and they probably had a softer side towards me than they did towards all the other, apprentices or techs who needed help. However, on the counter end of that, it was definitely hard to get customers, not all, but most customers to accept that, hey, a chick to work on your bike. And I'll say that we had a lot of goofy moments. It was just like we were, in a way, like a family, I would guess, between the music we would play, and most of the time we could agree on a music, but sometimes someone would turn something on and we would all team up on that one technician, be like, turn that shit off. But no, most of the time we all played music that everyone kind of liked and agreed. And even just like being goofy and dancing, using tools as microphones.
It's better this way. We cut each other with the things we want to say. We could have been so good together. We could have been this dance forever. But now you won't dance with me. Please stay.
That definitely was, or when we would all sing the same song. Those are some really fond memories I have from when I was a mechanic that I, reminisce time to time. Now, I know I just spoke about certain customers not accepting me as a woman, but there definitely were some customers who took it really well and who were very proud of my work and would specifically request me when, they needed to come in for a service or have something done to their bike. And that too, there was an amazing feeling once you know that the customer trusts you in your work, and specifically wants only you to work on their bike. That's something like money can't buy that feeling, it's definitely heartwarming. And even just the skill progress, seeing, when I first started off, I didn't know anything. Within 6 months, I kind of leveled up, I guess you could say. And with every, few months when I would look back, I'd be like, oh, this job used to be really tough, but now I can knock it out in 2 hours when before it took me 4 hours. So seeing the skill progression was very empowering. And I'm sure that's not just a me thing, that's kind of for everyone who's in a skill trade or just does any skill. When you see that you're doing progressing, it's empowering and it motivates you to want to keep going further and further. So that was definitely a really nice aspect of the job, just that there was always some seeming of progression and learning. Though towards the end of when I was a mechanic, learning progression did slow down, but I was still learning things time to time, but it wasn't like how in the beginning of my career when it felt like almost every day I was learning something new or a new trick or how to do something quicker and better, more, save more time, And this is a video for a whole nother day. I did want to talk about why I stopped being a mechanic. Aside from the first dealership issues, I would never probably go back to being a mechanic as a career, and that's a whole video for another day. So subscribe for videos like that in the future, and I'll get into depth of why I just don't want to do that no more. One moment that really comes to mind is we had this old Dyna. It was the 1980s Dyna. I don't remember the year. It was very old. And no one wanted to work on it. It had some electrical problem on why it wouldn't start. No one in the shop liked electrical jobs. That was something that I really liked. But I was really booked up, so they didn't give it to me. They gave it to a master tech, they gave it to another master tech, then they gave it to another dude, and no one could figure out what it was, and the managers just kind of put it aside. I don't know the details of if it was a customer bike or anything like that, but eventually, once my schedule freed up, my manager was like, hey, you like challenges, you like electrical work, go and check out this old Dyna. And within 15 minutes or less, I figured out what it was. And it was actually really easy. I just opened up the schematics of all the wiring schematics, and started just tracing, from the ignition, battery was good, and so I started with ignition, and right away I saw, after tracing it a little bit, the ignition wire, it was cut. So I was like, dude, that's a quick, easy fix. Soldered up a new wire, put a new wire up in there, bike started up, and did a service on it, and it was just, I was so proud. I ran to my manager, I was like, I found it out, I figured it out, and it was like, no one in the shop could. So just moments like that were definitely very pleasing. And even just back to the topic of the guys having my back, there was one instance in the second dealership when a salesman had said something pretty sexual to me, and it riled me up a little bit because I do not like that type of attention. I take pride that the attention I get is through my skill set and my knowledge and the things I'm able to do. And I take a lot of pride in this. I know that being a female in that world kind of, you know, it is easy to get subjected to that type of attention. So I always try to be really quick to shut it down. And one time a salesman had said something to me and I got really worked up about it. And those guys in the back were ready to tear his neck off. So it's definitely just, you know, back to the whole feeling like their little sister is definitely a really nice feeling. You know, with all those memories, there's so many more between us, like going out for lunches and just the goofy stuff we would do in the shop, or, you know, pranking our manager. The list goes on and on and on. So there's definitely a lot of positive memories and a few that I just wanted to share of why I liked, you know, working in the dealership, things that I liked about it, some positive memories. If you like more motorcycle content from me in the future, videos like this and Moto vlogs, feel free to hit that subscribe button, like this video, share your thoughts in the comments below. I truly value y'all's opinions and just outlooks on my videos. And with all that said, I really wish y'all to have a really great day and y'all stay positive out there.